barakatuh. Assalamu rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tonight is the eve of the 11th of Safar, 1445 after the Hijrah. Tonight is the second Majlis of this weekend. The program will begin with the recitation of Salam and Marsiya by Brother Mushtaba Akbari. The Majlis will be addressed by our visiting scholar, Hujjatul Islam, Shayk Abdul Jalil Nawee. Noha will be recited by Shabab al-Mehdi, and the program will conclude with Ziyarat. Let us begin the program. Please welcome Brother Mushtaba Akbari for recitation of Salam and Marsiya with the Salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات. میرے نانا سید ثاقب زیدی کے سلام کے چند اشعار، اس کے بعد دو سلاموں سے اقتباس. جب بھی یزید مد مقابل دکھائی دے، جب بھی یزید مد مقابل دکھائی دے، تیغ حسینیت سر باطل دکھائی دے، تیغ حسینیت سر باطل دکھائی دے، اور راہوں کے پیچ و خم میں الجھنے سے فائدہ، راہوں کے پیچ و خم میں الجھنے سے فائدہ، کرب و بلا میں آؤ کہ منزل دکھائی دے، کرب و بلا. اور رشتہ اگر نہیں ہے اسے باب علم سے، رشتہ اگر نہیں ہے اسے باب علم سے، جاہل رہے گا لاکھ و عاقل دکھائی دے. اور بے ساختہ پکار لو مشکل کشا کو تم، بے ساختہ پکار لو مشکل کشا کو تم، جب مرحلہ حیات کا مشکل دکھائی دے، جب مرحلہ حیات یا علی. اور یوں واقعات کرب و بلا کو بیاں کرو، یوں واقعات کرب و بلا کو بیاں کرو، اندھوں کو بھی حسین کا قاتل دکھائی دے، اندھوں کو بھی حسین کا قاتل دکھائی دے. ثاقب تیرے سلام کے ایک ایک شعر میں دھڑکن کے ساتھ ساتھ تیرا دل دکھائی دے. بر محمد و آل محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم. فرد اعمال میں بس اشک ہمارے ہوں گے، فرد اعمال میں بس اشک ہمارے ہوں گے، حشر کے دن یہی بخشش کے سہارے ہوں گے. اور قبر میں چین سے سوئیں گے عزادار حسین، قبر میں چین سے سوئیں گے عزادار حسین، آنکھ کھولیں گے تو کوثر کے کنارے ہوں گے. کتنے ارمانوں سے 18 برس زینب نے، کتنے صدقے رخ اکبر کے اتارے ہوں کو شادی کے تھے ارمان بہت تھی نہ قبر یہ جوان ہوں گے تو اللہ کو پیارے ہوں گے اس کو ایک ماں ہی سمجھ سکتی ہے وعدے اکبر کیسے دن زیست کے لیلا نے گزارے ہوں گے رو لو آج ہاتھوں سے سر پیٹ کے اصغر کو رباب کل کو رسی میں بندھے ہاتھ تمہارے ہوں گے پر محمد و آل محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم بار دیگر باز بلند قافلہ جا رہا ہے وطن کے لیے قافلہ جا رہا ہے وطن کے لیے کوئی روتی ہے اپنے جواں لال کو رو رہی ہے کوئی کم سخن کے لیے قافلہ جا رہا ہے وطن کے لیے قصر ظالم کبھی قید خانہ کبھی قصر ظالم کبھی قید خانہ کبھی نوک نیزہ کبھی تازیانہ کبھی کون سی تھی اذیت جو دی نہ گئی ہر جفا ہے اسیر محن کے لیے قافلہ جا رہا ہے وطن کے لیے کوئی چادر نہ تھی کیسی بے داد تھی کوئی چادر نہ تھی کیسی بے داد تھی ہاتھ ہوتے ہوئے بھی نازاد تھی کتنی مجبور کر دی گئی تھی بہن اپنے بھائی کے دفن و کفن کے لیے قافلہ جا رہا ہے وطن کے لیے بر محمد و آل محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم
MashaAllah, for Brother Mujtaba, his health, his safety and continued blessings. Please recite as-salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. A few brief community announcements before we move forward with the program. As you know from previous announcements, Baitul Ilm Sunday School is holding its annual Arba'een drive, food drive. As we remember the thirst and hunger of the Ahlul Bayt, let's help those who are less fortunate in our own communities. There are boxes, there are big black bins. You can see them in the foyer, and you can drop your donations in those big black bins. You can donate non-perishable foods as well as personal hygiene products. And we are looking for youth volunteers for the food drive. If you're interested, please email sundayschool@baitul-ilm@gmail.com. Majalis for ladies and girls will continue at Baitul Ilm every Saturday starting at 11 a.m. through September 23rd. The Majalis will be held in English and are being addressed by Khanum Maryam Ali Tahir. If you're interested in reciting, visit the Baitul Ilm webpage and select women's programs, and you can complete the form to sign up. This coming Friday, September 1st at 7 p.m., the Mehdi Youth Group is sponsoring an Arba'een Art and Poetry Night. The program will honor the family of the Prophet through varied means of expression, spoken word, visual art, and dramatic performance. If you or your child is interested in presenting, please register by emailing outreach@baitulilm.org. On this night, there will also be a refreshment table and a bake sale. Proceeds from the bake sale and refreshment table will be used to help H.I Shayk and in their charitable efforts here in Chicago. If you'd like to participate in the bake sale in any way, please contact Sister Shiza Zahra. Our next program at Baitul Ilm after tonight is on Thursday night. We'll hold our Thursday night program. It begins at 7:30 p.m. with lecture, and it will be followed by Salah. Dua is recited after the Salah. Arba'een Majlis will begin at Baitul Ilm next weekend on Saturday, September 2nd. There will be daily evening Majalis through Arba'een, including a day Majlis on the day of Arba'een, which is Wednesday, September 6th. On to the sponsors for tonight's Majlis. Tonight's Majlis is being sponsored by Brother Muhammad Tahir Zaidi and Sister Zahra Ali and family, as well as Brother Jafar Hasnain and Sister Arshia Hasnain and family. The families request that you remember the marhumeen of your families, as well as the marhumeen of their families, in particular, Azhar Hassan Zaidi ibn Nazir Hassan Zaidi, Sayyid Iqbal Ali ibn Mir Bakir Ali, Sayyid Ahmad Hasnain, Sayyid Zain Naki. Please remember these marhumeen with a Surah Fatiha preceded by a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladhina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Tonight's Majlis will once again be addressed by Shayk Abdul Jalil Nawee. A few words about his background before we invite him to the minbar. He was born and raised in Accra, Ghana. He started his Islamic studies at Al-Hidayah Islamic School before moving to the Ahlul Bayt Institute to further enhance his Islamic knowledge. At the Ahlul Bayt Institute, Shayk Abdul Jalil fully embraced the path of Ahlul Bayt. After graduating, he became a teacher before moving to Qum to further his Islamic studies. After completing his Islamic studies in Qum, he moved to the United States, where he taught and lectured at various centers across North America before settling in Maryland. He is currently the resident alim at Idara Jafariya Center, where he leads and guides the community. On behalf of the Baitul Ilm community, I want to thank the Shaykh for taking time out of his busy schedule to address the community. Inshallah, this won't be your last visit to us. We wish the Shaykh safe travels. Inshallah, he will be visiting the holy lands of Karbala this coming week, as are millions of other of the Shia and Ahl Bayt. We wish him safe travels on his journeys. For Shayk Abdul Jalil Nawee's health, safety, and continued blessings, please recite as-salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Ya Allah Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. At this time, I request Shayk Abdul Jalil Nawee to please address the community. Please welcome him to the minbar with as-salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدي وحبيبي ونور قلبي طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين ذاب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل على بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال الله العلي العظيم في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فلا وربك لا يؤمنون حتى يحكموك فيما شجر بينهم ثم لا يجدوا في أنفسهم حرجا مما قضيت ويسلموا تسليما صدق الله العلي العظيم. Our topic tonight is about the word taslim. The word taslim, as you know, is an Arabic word. And every year when we do a'mal, one of the words we say is the word taslim. And this word came from Al-Imam Al-Husayn alayhi afdalu salati wassalam. Allahumma salli ala. And that is when Imam was walking 7 steps forward, 7 steps back. And today we do the amal on the day of Ashura, and while we do the walk we say ridan biqada'i wa tasliman li amri. Our topic is the word taslim li amri. What does the word taslim mean? Because this is Al-Imam Al-Husayn alayhi afdalu salatu wassalam on the day of Ashura speaking to Allah. And what does he say? Radan biqada'i. Ya Allah, I'm content, I'm pleased with your decree. And not only I'm also pleased with your decree, wa tasliman li amri. I surrender to your command. Whatever is going to happen on the day of Ashura, which is your command, Ya Allah, I surrender to it. That's the meaning of it. But tonight, we want to elaborate the word taslim. What does it mean? And not only what does it mean, the word taslim, what are the stages of it in Islam? There are stages of taslim. It's not just one taslim. Now, but before we go to that, the ayah we just read is in Surah An-Nisa, ayah 65. The ayah was revealed when 2 companions of Rasulullah had a dispute. They had a fight among them. What was the fight? The first one is called Az-Zubayr ibn al-Awam, one companion from the Muhajirin, versus another companion min al-Ansar, one of the people of Medina. They have a dispute among themselves. What was the dispute? They both were farmers. They had a farm where they grow palm tree. What happened? The dispute came in the matter of water. Who got the privilege to irrigate or to water his palm tree before the other one? Everyone want to take the privilege of being the first one. Zubayr ibn al-Awam said, I got the privilege to take the water first. After I finish, then your turn comes. Al-Ansari said, nope, I should be the first to get the privilege, not you. They started this dispute. Finally, they both agreed, let's go to Rasulullah. Ya Rasulullah, you are the messenger, you are the leader, you are the guide, you are the judge as well. What do you say? You know Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Allahumma salli. It's not just a prophet, it's a judge too. He rules among people. So they went to Rasulullah. Ya Rasulullah, this is the issue. We have a dispute among us. Can you help us, Ya Rasulullah? Prophet said, okay, go ahead. Ya Zubair ibn al-Awam, tell me your side of the story. Zubair ibn al-Awam told the Prophet his side of the story. After that, the Prophet turned to Ansari. Ya Ansari, tell me your side of the story too. He told the Prophet his side of the story. The Prophet said, here's the deal. My rule is that, Ya Ansari, Ya Zubair, since Zubair, the way the water comes, Zubair's palm tree is close to where the water comes from. So Zubair will get the first to water his palm tree. After him, Ya Ansari, you take the turn and then you water your palm tree. That was the rule of whom? Al-Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Ansari was not happy with this Prophet's rule. He looked at the Prophet and he said, Ya Muhammad, is it because Zubair is a family to you, so you're ruling in his favor? And I'm not your family, you're ruling against me? The Prophet was not happy about it. The Prophet became angry. Why? Because he's accusing Rasulullah with what? Ya Rasulullah, you are not doing justice. That's what he means. Rasulullah gave his rule, and he, instead of accepting it, he accused Rasulullah with not being fair to him. The Prophet was not happy. Before Rasulullah says a word, this ayah 65 of Surah An-Nisa, Allah sent Jibreel. Ya Jibreel, go and read the ayah to my messenger and tell him to tell all the believers this rule. What is it? Allah says, Fala wa rabbik. Ya Rasulullah, tell them, I swear by your Lord. Allah swears by himself. So I swear by myself, La yu'minun. None of you will be considered a true believer. Before you can be called a mu'min, Allah says, Hatta yuhakkimuk fima shajara bainahum. Until they, the Muslims, make you to be the judge among them. As a mu'min, you cannot be a mu'min until you let the Prophet to be your judge. Now, if I don't accept Rasulullah as a judge, when a matter comes between me and my wife, between me and my brother, between our communities, and I rejected Rasulullah, the Quran says you are not considered true believer. A believer is the one who allowed the Prophet to rule and make a decision for his life. That's number one. And number two, not only that you have to accept him as a ruler, as a judge, it says when the Prophet makes a rule or decision, you as a believer should not find anything against Rasulullah, whether it's in your favor or against your favor. A true mu'min, when the Prophet makes a decision, what do you say? Sam'an wa ta'atan. We heard and we surrender. That's the true mu'min. Then Allah says, not only that, ثُمَّ لَا يَجِدُوا فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَرَجًا. They shouldn't feel any animosity or on ill feelings in their heart that no, Rasulullah didn't do fair to me. No, you have to feel whatever Rasulullah says is absolutely the justice. And then he says, نار أولذا ثم لا يجدوا في أنفسهم حرجا مما قضيت ويسلموا. And they have to surrender completely to what the Prophet said. Meaning, if the Prophet tells me do A, B, I have to surrender and accept it, and I have no any choice to say Rasulullah no. That is the sign of a true messenger. But that's the sign of a true believer. But you know, there are some companions, Rasulullah rules and they go against Rasulullah. Now, I just want to share with you, brothers and sisters, about one of the incidents at the time of Rasulullah, because we live at a time where some of the people today in Pakistan, many of you have heard about it, where the Pakistan government is now trying to implement a law now saying something bad against any companion can lead to a jail and sometimes life imprisonment. By the way, who are you calling who is companion? When we say as-sahabi, what do we mean? Now, do you think every man who lives and see the Prophet is called a good companion? La wallah. Some companions were stood against Rasulullah. Should I respect that person? Now let me share with you one of the stories, which is that today is a law and a rule among our maraja. They use this incident as a man, as a companion. What happened? A man called Samara ibn Jundub. Samara ibn Jundub is one of the Sahaba of the Prophet. He had one palm tree, one, versus one Ansari who owns hundreds of palm trees. This Samara has one palm tree among hundreds of palm trees, and the Ansari lives in that palm tree, in the farm of that palm tree. He lives in there with his family, wife and children. Samara lives outside the farm, but he comes there for one palm tree that he had in that farm. The Ansari said, "Ya Samara, I know you have a palm tree in the farm. You're welcome to come anytime. But Ya Samara, as you walk into the farm, say salam so I can tell my wife, my daughters to wear hijab before you will come to see your one palm tree." Is that fair? Yes. Samara said, "No, I don't want to say salam before I come. I want to walk into the farm as any time I wish, because I have a one palm tree and I'm entitled to come to the farm as any time." The Ansari says, "Yes, you're right. You have a palm tree, you can come in anytime you want. But I have a wife, I have children. In honor and respect for them, before you come, just say salam. So I can tell my wife to get prepared, and you can come and do whatever you want and then leave anytime you want." Samara said, "I don't feel saying salam before I come in." Okay. That's your freedom, right? You're free to do whatever you want to do. Good. Ya Samara, another option. What is it? Since you're not willing to say salam to come into the farm, fair enough. Ya Samara, can you sell me your one palm tree so you don't have to come in the farm and we don't have to fight? He says, "No, I don't want to sell my palm tree." Okay, fair. You don't have to sell, that's fine. That's your choice. Fair enough. Ya Samara, I will sell my farm to you. You buy all of it and I will walk away. The farm is yours. You come anytime you wish. You say, "I'm not buying the farm either." Allahu Akbar. You're not saying salam. You're not selling your palm tree. You're not buying mine. So what do you want to do? So, "I don't want to do anything. I want to come in as I wish. I don't want to say salam." Ansari said, "Ya Samara, let's go to Rasulullah." They went to Rasulullah. "Ya Rasulullah, there's a matter." "What is it?" "Ya Samara, what's the matter?" "Ansari, what's the matter? Tell me." Ansari narrated his story. "Ya Rasulullah, there is a farm. I own the majority of the trees in that farm. He owned only one. One, that's it. And I live in that farm with my wife and daughters. And I ask him to say salam so that my daughter, my wife, can wear hijab before he comes in." He said no. I told him, "Ya Rasulullah, sell me your palm tree so you don't have to come." He said no. I said, "I will sell you my farm and you take it. I don't have to worry about you. You don't have to worry." He said, "No, I'm not buying either." "Ya Rasulullah, what do you suggest?" The Prophet turned to Samara. "Ya Samara, what the Ansari said, is it true?" He said, "Yes, Ya Rasulullah." "Ya Samara, is it true you refuse to say salam?" He said, "Yes, Ya Rasulullah." "Ya Samara, is it true what Ansari said, that he wants you to sell him your palm tree?" He said, "Yes." "But what is your response?" He said, "Ya Rasulullah, I'm not buying it." Prophet said, "Okay, Ya Samara." But he said he's going to sell his farm to you, so you can have the entire farm for yourself as you wish. He said, I'm not buying it either, Ya Rasulullah. Prophet said, okay. Here's another deal. Ya Samara, sell me your palm tree and I will pay you double of it. See, now Rasulullah has put the Ansari aside. He said, now it's me and you. Ya Samara, you sell me, Rasulullah, and not only I will pay you, I will double the price for you. He said, no, I'm not selling to you, Rasulullah. This is the companions, huh? I said, I'm not selling it. I said, okay. It's your freedom, yeah? Your freedom. Not to sell it to me, fine. Ya Samara, you're not selling to Rasulullah, fine. Okay, Ya Samara, sell me the palm tree. I will guarantee you a palm tree in Jannah. He said, Rasulullah, I don't want palm tree in Jannah. Allahu Akbar, huh? These are the companions we're talking about, huh? He says, Ya Rasulullah, I don't want a palm tree in Jannah either. Ya Samara, you are not saying salam. You are not selling your palm tree. You are not selling to Rasulullah. You are not selling double price. You are not willing to get a tree in Jannah. Allahu Akbar. What a man, huh? Now we all praying, we're doing ziyarah, we're doing fasting, hajj, zakat, khums, so we can end in Jannah, isn't it? Rasulullah is giving him free Jannah. Free Jannah. Sell me and I will guarantee you a palm tree in Jannah before you die. He said, I don't want it. Rasulullah said, okay, Ya Samara, here's the last deal. You're not making sense. You're not being cooperative. Ya Ansari, go to that farm, unplug the tree, the palm tree that belongs to him, throw it out and say, I, Rasulullah said, he has no right to come to that farm from now onwards. And Rasulullah made a hadith, which our maraja, they used to do that hadith as a usul al-fiqh, a rule to make the foundation of Islamic rule, where the Prophet says, La darar wa la dirara fil Islam. Which means you are not allowed because of your freedom to hurt other people's freedom. I'm free to do what I want to do as long as my freedom doesn't hurt other people's freedom. When your freedom started to hurt other people's freedom, Islam says that freedom is no longer freedom. Ya Samara, you have freedom to walk into the palm tree anytime you want. But you coming in is hurting somebody's freedom, because they have the right to live in their house without hijab in front of their husband. But you, as an outsider, when you come in, they have to wear hijab, and you are not willing to cooperate with them, then Islam doesn't allow you to have that freedom. That is called La darar wa la dirara fil Islam. These are one of the companions, huh? He refused to surrender to the law and the ruling of Rasulullah. This companion, who the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, he says, "Fala wa rabbik," Allah swear by himself, none of you will be considered a true believer until you surrender to when Rasulullah gives an order. When Rasulullah makes a decision, how things are supposed to be, a mu'min shouldn't have a second thought about it. That's one. And number two, when he makes his rule or judgment, whether it's in your favor or against you, what do you need to do? You need to still don't have any bad feelings about Rasulullah. Not only that, what do you need to do? You need to also make sure what he says must be applied by you, even if you don't want that to. That is the sign of Iman. Now, this and the Quran says, وَيُسَلِّمُوا, they have to surrender as the Muslims for any decision the Prophet makes. That is called taslim. Completely surrender. When Allah gives a rule or the Prophet, you have to surrender. And this taslim in Islam, it comes in 3 stages. Stage number 1, none of us can be considered a mu'min until you fully surrender to the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the first stage of taslim. I cannot be considered a true believer unless I surrender to Allah. What does it mean to surrender to Allah? In every matter Allah decided or decreed, whether it's in your favor or you like it or you don't, you still have to surrender to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is what Islam is about. Now, brothers and sisters, many people tells you Islam means what? Peace. No, Islam doesn't mean peace. In Arabic, salam means peace. Islam means what? To submit and surrender to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a difference between the two. Islam bima'na al-istislam. You surrender your will, your mind, your thoughts to only the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why you have to believe as a Muslims, every rule Islam makes, right? Whether it makes sense to you or not, you surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And now I want to make sure that we understand this part, brothers and sisters. You know, in Islam, we have 5 things we do. Everything you do in Islam is within these 5 things. Number 1 is called wajib. The second is called what? Haram. The third is called mustahab. The fourth is called makruh. The fifth is called mubah. That's it. Everything you do is within these 5 things. Now in Islam, when Allah said something is wajib, you have to understand where Islam comes from. What does it mean? Islam makes a rule. Something is wajib. Islam looks at it and see how much good that thing contains for you. If the percentage of good is high, Islam says it's wajib. Now, if Islam looks at something, the percentage of it, the good is so low, right? Islam says it's haram. Now, sometimes something can be haram, right? It contains some good in it, but if the percentage of good is less and the bad is more than the good, Islam says it's haram for you. Example, alcohol. Islam said alcohol is haram. You're not allowed to drink alcohol. It's haram, right? Now today, the research tells you that no, the alcohol is good for you. If you take some percentage of it, it's good for you. But what did Islam say is haram? When the researchers today, they say alcohol, some percentage is good for you. But Islam say yes, it's haram. Because, yes, it might contain some good in it, but the bad that it contains is much higher than the good that it can offer you. And in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah said, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسَرِ. Ya Rasulullah, they're asking you about the alcohol and gambling, right? قُلْ فِيهِمَا إِثْمٌ وَمَنَافِعٌ. Tell them, there is sin in it, and then there is good in it too. So Islam agrees with the researchers that alcohol contains some good of it. But what does Islam say? It says, وَإِثْمُهُمَا. But the side of the bad outweigh the good that contains in the alcohol. وَإِثْمُهُمَا أَكْبَرُ. Allah said the sin that it brings is more bigger and greater than the benefit it brings to you. That is Islam. So when Islam says something is haram, it might have some good in it, right? But Islam always looks the percentage of good within that haram, and Islam tells you it's haram. And if the good is way higher, Islam says it's wajib. And sometimes Islam tells you something is haram. You think, no, it's good for me, I should be doing this. Islam said, you might think it's good, but in the knowledge of Allah it's not good. So which one should I follow? My knowledge is good, or the knowledge of Allah which says bad? And this is why we go to some Islamic rulings. Today we have to understand, when Islam tells you that in fiqh, a woman gets a less inheritance compared to a man. Isn't that the case? When 2 brothers or 2 sisters, or a brother and a sister, they have the same father, the same mother. The father dies, he leaves a brother and a sister. Islam says a girl gets half of what the boy gets. And then we ask, why? Ya Allah, why? We have the same father, the same mother. We were raised in the same house, right? Why does he get more than I do? Doesn't make sense, right? Now Islam says it might not make sense to you, but it makes the sense to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So being a Muslim, I have to surrender even if it doesn't make sense to me. That is what it's called al-Islam, al-Istislam. That's why in Islam there is one of the great scholars, great scholar. He looks in the fiqh and he saw a rule. You know, in the rule in Islam, when you cut somebody's finger intentionally, there is something called diya. How much? 10 camels you have to pay. A diya, blood money. Now, when you cut 2, come 20. You cut 3, it becomes 30, right? Now, Islam is honoring the finger if it's cut, and you have to pay diya. That's one side of Islam. Then another side of Islam says, when the same person steals, what do? You cut the finger. Yeah, Islam, you are honoring the finger when it's cut here, but then here, the same Islam say the hand should be cut when it steals, right? Sharif al-Radi, one of the great scholars, he answered this and he says, yes, it's true, Islam says that. The same finger, when it cuts, yes, it deserves diya. The same finger, when it steals, it deserves to be cut. Why? What is the hikmah behind it? What is the wisdom behind it? Sharif al-Radi say, yes, the hand is honored until it touches something that doesn't belong to it. Then the honor of that fingers is taken away. Allah is honoring the finger. As long as I don't take somebody's money, as long as I don't steal somebody's money or somebody's property, the moment I do that, Islam says that finger is no longer honored, and that point it can be cut. Now, it might not make sense to me, but as a Muslim, I have to surrender to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what's called a taslim. Now, in Islam, to be a mu'min, you have to surrender to Allah. And this taslim, every human being, the prophet, the imam, every being have to do taslim to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In every matter, from the smallest matter to the greatest matter in your life, you have to surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Quran tells us one of the example of those prophets who surrender to Allah is Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. You know, Ibrahim alayhi salam is one of the symbol of taslim to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How so? You know, in Surah Al-Safat, Allah says, I told Ibrahim, إِذْ قَالَ لَهُ رَبُّهُ أَسْلِمْ. Allah said, I called Ibrahim, and I told him, Ya Ibrahim, surrender, do taslim. You know what Ibrahim said? أَسْلَمْتُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. I surrender fully to the Lord of the worlds. Ibrahim is the symbol of taslim. How so? You know, Ibrahim alayhi salam, since the day he says, Aslamtu lillahi rabbil alameen, everything comes on his way. Ibrahim surrendered to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even in the matter that he doesn't like, in the matter doesn't make him happy, in the every matter that comes in front of him, Ibrahim surrender and he does according to the will of Allah. One example in Surah Al-Safat, Allah tells you the example of taslim from Ibrahim. Ibrahim alayhi salam lived over 80 years. He is praying to Allah for a child. 80 years he is asking Allah. You know, many of us, I ask Allah 5 times, 3 times, Allah doesn't do it, I become angry. I go to ziyarah, I ask about Abdullah something, Allah didn't happen, I become angry, right? Ibrahim, 80 years of his life, is asking Allah one thing. What is it? A child. And you haven't seen the response. But Ibrahim never gave up. Until the day that Allah gave him a child called Ismail. Ibrahim got a child called Ismail. He raised his son, Ismail, until Ismail became 13 years old. At the age of 13, one night Ibrahim was sleeping, he saw a dream. Allah told him, Ya Ibrahim, slaughter that son that you've been waiting for 80 years. How difficult this test could be to any one of us. 80 years he has been waiting for a child. He got the child, he raised the child. At the age of 13, right? Allah told him, Ya Ibrahim, slaughter that son. Ibrahim woke up and he was sweating. Couldn't imagine what he saw. But he knew what a prophet sees in the dream is real. Ibrahim went back to sleep. The next day he saw the same dream too. 3 full nights he sees the dream. Allah is telling him to slaughter his son. Ibrahim alayhi salam, finally he agreed to do it. He called his son Ismail alayhi salam. He said, my son, inni ara fil manami anni adbahuk fandur madha tara. I saw a dream that Allah is asking me to slaughter you. What do you suggest? What do you see? Ismail alayhi salam, he looked at his father and he says, Ya abati f'al ma tu'mar. My father, do what Allah ordered you to do. Satajiduni insha'Allah min as-sabirin. You will find me among the patient ones. Ibrahim alayhi salam, after he spoke to his son and they both agreed, then Ismail said to Ibrahim, my father, I have 4 requests from you. 4 requests from you before we carry the mission of Allah. What is it? He said, number 1, my father, when the day of slaughtering me comes, I want you to take my shirt off first. Ibrahim asked him, why? He said, because I don't want my shirt to be bloody from my own blood. Because then you have to bring it home. And when my mother sees it, it will break her heart. And I don't want to break her heart. So take the shirt off. And not only that, I want the shirt, you to give it to my mother, so whenever she misses me, she can smell me through that shirt. That's number 2. Number 3, I said, my father, I want you to tie my hands at the back. So when you started to do the slaughtering, I wouldn't fight you back. That's number 3. Number 4, I said, I want you to also cover my face. So you don't have to look at me. I'm afraid when you look down and you see my face and I see your eyes, you might be hesitate in carrying the mission of Allah. Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he heard this, he busted into tears. And he said to his son, I cannot do 2 of these that you ask. What are the 2? I said, I cannot tie your face. I cannot tie your hands. But the shirt, I'll take it to your mother, as you requested. Right? Now, after they both agree, listen to the Quran. In Surah 10th Safar, Allah said, فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَا وَتَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ نَادَيْنَاهُ أَنْ يَا إِبْرَاهِيمُ قَدْ صَدَّقْتَ الرُّؤْيَا. Allah said, when they both, Ibrahim and his son Ismail, when they both surrendered to the Almighty Allah. The word that is used, aslama, taslim, they completely surrendered to Allah. They were crying, they were both fell on the ground, and they were also willing to carry the mission of Allah. That is what we call a taslim. You surrender your will to the will of Allah, even in the matter that doesn't make you happy. As long as Allah wants, I do exactly that. That's called taslim. That's number 1 in Islam. So no one of us can be considered a true believer until you surrender fully to Allah. That's number 1. Number 2, I finished surrendering to Allah. What's the next? You have to also surrender to Rasulullah. No one of us will be considered a mu'min until you surrender fully to the Prophet. The Prophet tells you do A, B, I may not like it, but I still have to surrender to the will of the Prophet. The Prophet tells you, you are not allowed to do A, B, C. I surrender to the will of the Prophet, even if it doesn't make me happy, even if I don't want it, as long as it's the order of Rasulullah. At-taslim means I surrender to his will. And the one practical example of taslim is Al-Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen Salamullahi alayhi. Sallallahu. You know, Imam Ali alayhi salam, he taught us how to do taslim to the order of Rasulullah, regardless. How? You know, the night of Hijrah, Rasulullah comes and he calls Imam Ali. Ya Ali, come, I want you. What is it? Ya Rasulullah. I say, Ya Ali, Allah ordered me to leave Mecca tonight to head to Medina. Ya Ali, I want you to sleep in my bed. Ya Rasulullah, why? I said, because Ya Rasulullah, why do you want me to sleep in your bed? Why not you sleep in there? I say, Ya Ali, because the mushrikeen want to kill me. Allahu Akbar. Brothers, think about it. If any one of yours today, your father tells you, my son, the enemy, the neighbor wants to kill me, sleep in my bed, would you do it? Your father, huh? Who gave you life, who took care of you. He says, I'm in trouble, I need your favor, sleep in my bed. Would you do it? Imam Ali, the Prophet asked him, Ya Ali, sleep in that bed. So if the mushrikeen come to the house to kill, they kill you instead of me. You know what Ali said to him, Rasulullah? Ya Rasulullah, awa taslam. Would you be safe even if I get killed? The Prophet said, Bala ya Rasulullah, I will be safe. Say, done deal. I will sleep in your bed, even if I will lose my life. That's what we call taslim. Now, that night when Rasulullah left, Imam Ali slept on the bed. The narration said that night, Allah called Jabrail and Mikael. Ya Jabrail, Ya Mikael, I have made you, both of you brothers. And I, Allah, want one of you to live longer than the other. But I'm not telling you who, right? But the question is, who is willing to give his life to another one? Ya Jabrail, if you are to live longer and Mikael needs your life to live longer than you, are you willing to give your life to Mikael so he can live longer and you die earlier? You know what Jabrail says? No, Ya Allah, I don't want to die for Mikael. Jabrail, huh? He said to Allah, I don't want to give my life to Mikael to live longer so I can die quicker. Then Allah switched the question. Ya Mikael, if I made you to live longer and Jabrail needs your life, are you willing to give your life to Jabrail and you die earlier instead of Jabrail? You know what Mikael says? Nope, I don't want to give him either. Then Allah told them, look down in Mecca, what is happening. They looked down and they saw Imam Ali laying on the bed of Rasulullah. And he said, Ya Jabrail, Ya Mikael, this is Muhammad, this is Ali. I made them brothers. And here Rasulullah needed his life to be extended. And Ali is willing to give his life to extend the life of his brother Rasulullah. This is Ali, huh? He gave his life to his brother Rasulullah to live longer, even if he is going to die. Ya Jabrail, Ya Mikael, go down to protect Aliyun Amir al-Mu'mineen. Jabrail and Mikael came down. Jabrail stood by the head of Imam Ali and Mikael by the feet. And Jabrail said, Ya Aliyun man mithluka yubahi bihi Allahu malaikata. Who has ever existed like you, Ali, whom Allah used him to show the angels their level is lower than the level of Ali. Then Allah sent the ayah which we read in the Quran, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْرِي نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ رَؤُوفٌ بِالْعِبَادِ. That Imam Ali gave his life for Rasulullah, right? Because of what? Because he knew Rasulullah when he orders, every Muslim must surrender to the will of Rasulullah. And you cannot be counted as Rasul, Mu'min, until you surrender your will to Rasulullah. That is the meaning of what? At-taslim. He surrendered to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to the Prophet. That is number two. Number three, after I surrender to Allah, I surrender to Rasulullah, am I done? No, you are not done. The third taslim, you have to do taslim to the Imam of your time. Even if I do taslim to Allah, I do taslim to Rasulullah, but I fail to do taslim to my Imam of my time, am I considered mu'min? No, you are not considered mu'min. A true mu'min is the one who surrenders fully to Allah, to the Prophet, and the Imam of his time. And what does it mean, taslim to the Imam of your time? Meaning what? If my Imam asks me to leave everything and run and do one or the other, I'm willing not to question the Imam. Just do exactly what Imam asks. That's the meaning of taslim to the Imam. Not only that, when you look, Imam Ali alayhi salam, the way he did taslim to him, to Rasulullah, that is how some of his companions did taslim to him too. One of them is known as Malik al-Ashtar, who was the symbol of taslim to Imam Ali. Malik al-Ashtar, whenever Imam Ali tells him, Ya Malik, do ABC, he doesn't question. Qala Aliyun, done did. That's called taslim. Not only that, every Imam, when he tells you to do A, B, even if it's against your will, you have to surrender to him. You know, sometimes this is where the bigger question comes in, brothers and sisters. We always ask Imam al-Zaman, Ajjalallahu ta'ala faraj. Ya Allah, hasten his appearance. Now the question is, if Imam comes today and he tells me to do something I don't like to do, am I going to surrender to the will of Imam and do exactly what Imam wants, even if it's against my will? That's what we call taslim. Huh? Now there's a story, maybe some of you have heard about it. A man who's called Faraj Allah. Faraj Allah was a man who was called, supposed to be Shia. And always he appeared to be the one who loves Imam al-Zaman so much. Isn't the case? If he wants to drink a water, he calls Imam al-Zaman's name. When he sits, he calls Imam al-Zaman's name. Takes his shirt off, he calls Imam al-Zaman's name, showing how much he loved Imam al-Zaman. One test, he failed it. What was the test? He was living in a house. Imam al-Zaman sent one of his companions, go test him. He was at his house. The companion of Imam walked in. Ya Faraj Allah, Salaam alaikum, wa alaikum assalam. He opened the door, come in, come in, come in. He said, what is the matter? What do you want? I'm a messenger of Imam al-Zaman, who you always call. What does he want? Imam al-Zaman said to tell you, the house you live in is a stolen house. It doesn't belong to you. What should I do? You have to leave the house. Allahu Akbar. A house I lived in for years. Yes, you have to leave the house. Imam al-Zaman said, you leave the house. You know what he did? Immediately he started screaming, calling the neighbors. A thief has walked into his house. Calling the Naib of Imam a thief. As the neighbors crashed into the house, the companion of Imam disappeared. Didn't see him anymore. They asked him, where's the thief? He said, I don't know, sorry, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe, don't worry about it. Please go back home. Imam showed him the words, Faraj Allah is just a word. At-taslim is when the companion or a servant doesn't question Imam. Imam tells him, he does it. And one of the examples that you've heard also is about Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam, when one of the companions, of Imam came and he said to him, Ya Ja'far, Ya Sayyidi, why don't you revolt against Mansur al-Dawaniqi? Imam told him, go sit in the fire. What are you able to say? Ya Ibn Rasulullah, this is a fire. Say, yes, I know fire. Go sit in it. He wouldn't sit it. Right? In front of him, Imam calls another companion, go sit in it. He didn't ask his, he wanted to sit in there. And then Imam turned to him and he said, if I have those kind of companions, I will revolt. Not like you. You call me Imam, but you're not in the state of taslim to me as your Imam. Today, as we said, we are the followers of Imam al-Zaman. If Imam al-Zaman to come right now, this center, this masjid, and tells you and I, don't go back home, just walk straight to this place, that place, am I really willing to say yes to Imam? And leave everything in the pleasure of Imam of your time. Today, we want a revolution. We want Imam to appear. Now read the history. How many people were with Imam al-Hussein? They gave letters. They wrote letters. They asked him to come. When the time of test came, how many of them stood with Imam al-Zaman, Imam of their time? Majority of them left Imam Hussein. Only 72 of them stood by their words. One of those examples of taslim is Zuhair ibn al-Qayyim. You know, the night of Ashura, when Imam Hussein alayhi salam looked at all of his companions and he said to them, Ya ashabi, my companions, these enemies, they don't want anybody but me. And if they are able to put their hand on me, they will let every one of you to go. And I want to set all of you free tonight. Whoever want to go, please leave. And you don't have to worry about me, huh? And if you want to leave, leave at night when it's dark and you don't have to feel guilty. Somebody's watching you. Somebody's going to recognize you. He say leave at night when it's dark and you go where you want to go. Look at the taslim, huh? That is when Zuhair ibn al-Qayyim stood. Ya Aba Abdullah, you are asking us to leave you and go where? And live what life? And after we die, what should we tell your mother Zahra? When she asked us Yawm al-Mahshar, why did you leave my son Aba Abdullah? What should we tell her? And Zuhair said, Ya Aba Abdullah, لو أقتل وأحرق وأحيا وأقتل وأحرق وأحيا 70 مرة ما تركت. If I, Zuhair, will be killed and burned to ashes and gain my life back and get killed and get burned to ashes and get my life again and get burned to ashes and get my life again 70 times, I said, I'm not going to leave you. وَكَيْفَ وَهِيَ مِيتَةٌ وَاحِدَةٌ. And why should I leave you when death is only one time? That is the sign of taslim. Not only that, another example of taslim among the companions of Imam Hussein, Habib ibn Mudahir al-Asadi. That old man, very aged, Imam Hussein sent a letter to him. He didn't know anything was going on. Didn't know Imam Hussein is in Karbala until the messenger came with the letter of Imam Hussein. Habib was sitting with his wife. They were eating, having good time. Somebody knocked the door. Habib went and opened the door. Who is he? He says, it's a messenger of Imam Hussein. He opened the door. What is the message? It's a letter from Imam Hussein. Allahu Akbar. What is the letter? Habib ibn Mudahir have a life plans for himself and his family. A letter came and changed the entire plan. What was it? Ya Habib, I am Hussein ibn Ali, the Imam of time. I'm in Karbala and I want your presence. Allahu Akbar. Habib took the letter and put on his heart as if he's hugging Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Didn't think twice. What about my house? What about my car? What about my money? What about my clothes? What about my life? Never thought twice about all of that. The first thing Habib ibn Mudahir thought, how can I get to Karbala? Why is he thinking about it? Because by that time, all the ways to Karbala was blocked. Nobody can get into Karbala, nobody can come out of Karbala. Habib was thinking that night, he didn't sleep. How can I get to Karbala? To be there with my master Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. Early in the morning, Habib ibn Mudahir called his servant. Take my horse, get it outside Medina, outside Kufa. Take it. So I want to get to Karbala. And I will find my way to meet you somewhere and get the horse and run to Karbala. Sure enough, the servant took the horse, went exactly where Habib told him to wait. The servant was waiting. Habib will come. Habib will come. Habib didn't come. The servant looked and he started speaking to the horse. He said, look, you horse of Habib, my master, if my master didn't show up for any reason, I will mount on you and run to Karbala to go and defend the grandson of the Prophet. As he was talking to the horse, Habib showed up. Habib took the horse, sat on the horse. He looked at the slave. He told him, go home, you're done. I'm going to Karbala, you go home, do whatever you want to do. The slave held that horse and he said to Habib, I have served you all these years and now you made your decision to go to serve Aba Abdullah and you are not allowing me to come with you. Habib looked at him. You want to come to Karbala with me? He said, yeah, I want to come with you. To do what? I might not come back. I might be killed. He said, so be it. I want to be with you. Habib told him, come, mount on the horse with me. He mounted on the horse with Habib. They ran as fast as he could and he got to Karbala. And he got to Karbala the night of Ashura. When he got to Karbala, Zainab Salamullahi alayha, she heard about Habib. As he walked and said, Salamu alaikum, everybody, Imam Hussein was so happy to see Habib. Was never anticipated Habib will respond to his call in such quick manner. As he says salam to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Zainab was in her tent. She sent salam to Habib. She was happy to see another great companion join them in the night of Ashura. When Habib heard the salam of Zainab, he took his turban, he threw it away. He started hitting his chest. And he said, woe unto Bani Umayyah, Yazid and his family. How dare they going to put people like Zainab into that kind of situation. This great Habib is the symbol of what we call taslim. He left his life just to respond to the call of Islam. On the day of Ashura, Habib alayhi salam, he was one of the elders among the co-soldiers of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. When Habib ibn Mudahir went to the battlefield, after many of those companions were murdered, Habib ibn Mudahir went to the battlefield. And he fought and fought and fought. Finally, Habib was overpowered. As Habib ibn Mudahir al-Asadi was overpowered, in his final moment, you know what happened? Burayr came next to him and he said to him, Ya Habib Abul Mudahir, you're a great man. You have lived a life of purity. You served Rasulullah, you served Imam Ali, you served Imam Hassan, and now you are serving Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Ya Habib, what is it that you want me, I can do for you after your matrimony? Any will, anything you want to be done for you. You know what Habib said? Habib looked at Burayr and he says, Ya Burayr, usika bihadha al-gharib. My will to you is to take care of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Ya Burayr, you asking me to help me? I don't want your help. All I want you to take care of Abu Abdullah. And the title he gave Imam Hussein, he said, Hadha al-Gharib, this stranger that was brought here against his will, and he was left alone. Habib ibn Mudahir al-Asadi, on the day of Ashura, after he was murdered, he was the first head which was put on the horse, and they continued to fight while his head was on the horse of those Bani Umayyah soldiers. And even aftermath of Karbala, his son was chasing everywhere looking for his father's head, and they wouldn't give him his father's head. And one of the symbol of Taslim is Qasim ibn al-Hasan. Symbol of Taslim, Qasim alayhi salam. You know, on the day of Ashura, he came to his uncle Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and he said, my uncle, please allow me to go to the battlefield. Imam Hussein wouldn't give him that permission. Qasim came several times, and Imam Hussein wouldn't permit him. His mother looked and she saw Qasim still sitting. She called Qasim. Qasim, why are you still here? Look, everybody is gone. Why are you still here? Ya Qasim. Qasim said, oh, my mother, I've been to my uncle several times. I asked Imam Hussein several times to give me permission to go to the battlefield, but every time I go, he declines me. His mother asked him, Ya Qasim, what does he say? What does your uncle tells you? He said, every time I ask my uncle, Ya Abu Abdullah, allow me to go to the battlefield, he tells me I'm too young. He tells me I remind him about my father. And he doesn't want to see me murdered on the day like Ashura. The mother of Qasim, you know what she said? She said, Ya Qasim, remember what your father told you to do. Your father wrote you a letter and he gave it to you. Ya Qasim, did you read the letter to your uncle Hussein? Qasim said, no, I have not. He said, read the letter to your uncle. Qasim took a letter. His father told him, what was it? He came closer to his uncle Abu Abdullah and he said to him, Ya Amma, Iqra, read what my father wrote for me on the day of Ashura, and he asked me to do on the day like today. What is it? Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, he wrote in that letter, he said, Bunayya Qasim, my son Qasim, when a day come, you hear your uncle Hussein calls, هل من ناصر ينصرنا هل من معين يعيننا فلا تقصر في نصرته. Do not hesitate to support and help your uncle. When Imam Hussein alayhi salam heard that news and read that letter, Imam Hussein hugged Qasim alayhi salam and he busted into tears. Qasim says, oh my uncle, I have to surrender to the will of my father who asked me to do this. And in the honor of the request of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, Imam Hussein alayhi salam told Qasim, you can go to the battlefield. Qasim alayhi salam, he got ready to go to the battlefield. And very young, Qasim alayhi salam was trained by Abbas alayhi salam. Abbas alayhi salam told him, Ya Qasim, remember all what I taught you, how to fight, how to defend yourself. Qasim alayhi salam said, yes, I heard and I remember all those. Qasim alayhi salam, the symbol of Taslim, he went to the battlefield, continued to fight. He fought and fought and fought. The narration said that the situation got to a point where Qasim, his shoe turned apart. Qasim alayhi salam went down to fix the shoe. One of the enemy said, run and attack that young man before he fixed his shoes. Qasim alayhi salam was busy fixing his shoe to finish and get back to the battlefield. One of them came from behind. He struck Qasim alayhi salam. Qasim alayhi salam, as he was falling, he called his uncle, Ya Amma, oh my uncle, come to my aid. Qasim alayhi salam, after he called, Imam Hussein alayhi salam jumped, rushed towards Qasim to help him out. By the time he came, he could not find Qasim anywhere. He was looking left and right. Qasim, where are you? There was no response from Qasim alayhi salam. Imam Hussein alayhi salam continued looking everywhere. If he could locate Qasim, he tried to call if Qasim would respond. There was no response. They were nowhere to be found. Finally, as Imam Hussein alayhi salam continued looking, he saw Qasim in the middle of the enemies. And not only he was in the middle of the enemies, every one of them have struck the Qasim alayhi salam with his sword. By the time Imam Hussein got to him, Qasim alayhi salam was already murdered. Imam Hussein alayhi salam lifted him. He said to him, Ya Azzu ala Ammik, it's so dear to your uncle Abu Abdullah. On a day like today, when you call him and he couldn't come to your aid, oh, he rushed to your aid and couldn't help you, Ya Qasim. The narration said that Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he took his abba off and he started to pick the bodies of Qasim, pieces of Qasim alayhi salam, he placed it in his abba. He carried the body of Qasim to the tent. Zainab salamullahi alayha, and she saw the body of Qasim was brought into the tent. Zainab salamullahi alayha, she busted into tears. She was saying, I remember my brother Hassan alayhi salam, especially in his final moment. She remembered exactly the tragedy of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, and the day that they gave him that poison, where Imam al-Hassan was throwing blood after blood, blood after blood. And now the tragedy of Qasim alayhi salam, who was a young man, who was alive in front of him, but Bani Umayyah cut his life short and cut him into pieces. وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. إلهنا نسألك وندعوك بأحب الخلق إليك بمحمد وعلي وفاطمة والحسن والحسين والتسعة المأسومين من ذرية الحسين، فرج عنا فرجا عاجلا قريبا كلمح البصر أو هو أقرب من ذلك، إلى أموات المؤمنين والمؤمنات، لا سيما الحاضرين الجالسين السامعين، ومن أوصاني بالدعاء، ومن مات على الإيمان، ومن مات على ولاية علي أمير المؤمنين، وإلى أرواح الشهداء، وإلى أرواح العلماء والمراجع العظام. رحم الله من يقرأ الفاتحة مع الصلوات.
Say, Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. میری سکینہ سو جا، میری سکینہ سو جا، آجا اصغر کی جگہ، میری سکینہ سو جا، آجا اصغر کی جگہ، میری سکینہ سو جا۔ جاگتی ماں نے کہا میری سکینہ سو جا ہے، آجا اصغر کی جگہ، میری سکینہ سو جا، آجا اصغر کی جگہ، میری سکینہ سو جا۔ جو تجھے خوف ہے شاید میں اسے کم کر دوں، آجا آنکھوں پہ تیرے ناد علی غم کر دوں۔ دور کیوں بیٹھی ہے آ میری سکینہ سو جا ہے، آجا اصغر کی جگہ، میری سکینہ سو جا، آجا اصغر کی جگہ، میری سکینہ سو جا۔ باپ کے سینے پہ عادت ہے تجھے سونے کی، میری گودی تیرے قابل تو نہیں ہے پھر بھی، ہے میرے دل کی صدا، میری سکینہ سو جا ہے، آجا اصغر کی جگہ، میری سکینہ سو جا، آجا اصغر کی جگہ، میری سکینہ سو جا۔ 4 برسوں سے نہ زحمت دی کبھی تو نے مجھے، اپنی خدمت کا مجھے آج تو موقع دے دے، ہوگا احسان تیرا، میری سکینہ سو جا ہے، آجا اصغر کی جگہ، میری سکینہ سو جا، آجا اصغر کی جگہ، میری سکینہ سو جا۔ قید خانے میں جو آ جائیں گے تیرے بابا، خود اٹھا دوں گی تجھے شانہ ہلا کر تیرا، اچھا کچھ دیر ذرا میری سکینہ سو جا ہے، آجا اصغر کی جگہ، میری سکینہ سو جا، آجا اصغر کی جگہ، میری سکینہ سو جا۔ مجھ سے دیکھا نہیں جاتا یہ تیرا درد جگر، یہ بتاتے ہوئے اچھا تو نہیں لگتا، مگر اب نہ آئیں گے چچا، میری سکینہ سو جا ہے، آجا اصغر کی جگہ، میری سکینہ سو جا، آجا اصغر کی جگہ، میری سکینہ سو جا۔ صابروں کا یہ کرینہ تو نہیں ہے بیوی، یہ ہے پردیس مدینہ تو نہیں ہے بیوی، کر کے بس شکر خدا، میری سکینہ سو جا ہے، آجا اصغر کی جگہ، میری سکینہ سو جا، آجا اصغر کی جگہ، میری سکینہ
اللهم
السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا نبي الله، سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين ويا سيد الوصين، السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام على الحسن بن علي المجتبى، السلام على الحسين بن علي الشهيد بكربلاء سيدي شباب أهل الجنة أجمعين، السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأئمة التسعة المعصومين من ذريتك وبنيك، السلام عليك وعليهم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولاي يا صاحب العصر والزمان، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا إمامي وإمام الإنس والجان، الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان، عجل الله تعالى فرجك وظهورك وسهل الله مخرجك وجعلنا من أعوانك وأنصارك ومن المستشهدين بين يديك جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته.